The fourth of the remaining limbs is the transcendence of external and internal objects. We've covered the first four limbs of yoga, and there are four left. The first four give us a certain composure, and this composure is in relation to consensus reality. Consensus reality tells us that we are one individual out of many wandering around an external world, and we experience this external world through our senses. This understanding is extremely limiting and doesn't actually bear close examination. It's an understanding which spiritually has to be completely discarded. In day-to-day affairs we go along with it, just as we go along with the drama in a play, whether we're observing it or participating in it. But spiritually we can have no truck with this. Spiritually we know it does not hold up at all. Spiritually we know it has no more substance than a dream. So this is the transcendence of external and internal objects. The previous 5 sutras, sutras 46 and 50, were ostensibly concerned with asana and pranayama. But these are really to do with being completely free from all these tendencies which want to hijack the attention. All these tendencies which want us to put some emotional investment into the objects of the attention. The Enlightenment practitioner puts all their emotional investment in the attention itself. This is your spiritual composure, and this comes about through transcendence of external and internal objects. The attention can be caught up in thoughts, in feelings, in sensations. These are the internal objects, and external objects are things which we regard as out there, things that we might own. So this limb, the fifth limb, is much subtler than the previous ones. In a way, it's something which sums up the previous ones. It's the culmination of the previous limbs. But it's something we need to be intellectually aware of as well. The important aspect of this limb is the relationship of your spiritual realization with your own psychology. From a modern psychological perspective, this particular limb has an air of psychosis about it. The important difference here between this limb and psychosis, though, is the extent to which your psychology still plays a part. I suspect this is the downfall of many spiritual teachers. It's often quite fascinating reading about spiritual teachers who become popular and perhaps developed quite a following, and who clearly have a great deal of spiritual insight. But something bad goes wrong. I don't want to mention any particular cases, I'm sure you can think of some yourself. And I suspect that this is because they've not completely transcended their own psychology. And this psychology is what we can understand as external and internal objects here. This limb has to be continually practiced, especially if you are a spiritual teacher. Things have to be questioned. The ego might be getting a lot of bolstering from people who appreciate your teachings or certain aspects of your personality. And this might reinforce a disinclination to question yourself. And there might be certain elements of self-indulgence appearing, which you just go along with. So this is the difference between this limb and psychosis. Aspects of personal psychology are not being reinforced. And now that which obscures natural illumination is dissolved. We are often told that consciousness is bliss. And even if you're a spiritual practitioner, this can be a hard one to swallow. Where's the bliss? But whether it's blissful or not, it's certainly something very pure and something that is satisfying in itself. Like the sun, it's very easily blotted out. But now all these things which obscure it, which blot it out, have been dissolved. And the mind has something suitable to focus on. This is really the only thing worth focusing on, the natural illumination of awareness, pure awareness. And this is the sixth limb of yoga, dharana. This is concentration. Withdrawal from the senses is when awareness disidentifies with its own object and identifies instead with its own essence. So we're no longer concerned with the objects of attention, but with the nature of the attention itself. Sutra 53 was that initial concentration, and Sutra 54 is sustained absorption in that pure awareness. This is dhyana. And Sutra 55 is the last limb, samadhi. In this way the senses are subdued by the awareness of the Absolute. So we reached the Absolute, we reached samadhi by the second limb. The subsequent limbs are the reinforcing of that. The senses are no longer calling the shots. They're no longer pulling the attention this way and that. We're cut off from that pull. This is pranayama. We're no longer subscribing to the belief in external and internal objects. That being so, there is a possibility of natural illumination, and this is what the mind can focus on. And this is its own essence. This is the Absolute. This is freedom.